Hi, I am Matt Davio, and I want to talk a little bit today and over the next couple podcasts about the trading process and really the context of the trading process. So I want to outline the steps I go through in the trading process. I want to stress that there are other ways of trading, and what I describe is not at all necessarily best for all traders. My hope is that this explanation of the process will help traders reflect on their own processes and tighten those up and be better and more efficient traders. I also hope that in absorbing examples of my own trading that I can share, and from working with others, I can share really what others have gone through, and their own synthesis and style comes out from sharing those opportunities. So the first step in trading for me is always identifying what we might call context. And context really, for me, refers to all the factors surrounding the upcoming day's trade. That includes whether the prior day was stronger, whether it was weaker than the days before, whether we're trading in a short-term range or trending, whether markets correlated to stocks are in the trending or range mode, and whether volatility is expanding, whether it's contracting, or remaining relatively constant. Context also includes news items and economic releases and how markets have responded to those in the recent days and in pre-opening trade. Finally, context also includes intermarket themes and leading sectors that I follow that have impacted the stock market currently, and whether those correlations have been waxing or waning. Again, risk on, risk off. So this is really important that we talk about these issues. And I do keep current on several very important indicators by assessing the number of stocks making fresh new 20-day highs and lows, the number of stocks trading above their 20-day moving averages, and the number of stocks closing above and below the volatility envelopes that I use surrounding their short-term moving averages. I generally can get a sense of whether the market is in a trend or range mode. I also utilize the market profile tool and the TPO to figure out where we are, whether we are trending, whether we are basing or creating kind of a level area where we're going to then take off from above or below. These are all key components that I use. Unless news items and or economic releases greatly change day to day, I'll use the most recent market context to frame my earlier hypotheses about the markets. If we're showing increasing strength, I'll expect this week's trade to take out the prior week's high, and today's trade to take out the prior day's high. If the market is stalling out across the indicators, I'll expect moves away from recent values area to fall and fall back to and return back to the middle of the range or the point of control. Note that these are just tentative ideas at this point, not firm trading plans. A great deal of context can be picked up from both the Asian markets, which in the West Coast picks up around 6 p.m. on the local time, and the European markets, which start around midnight on local PST time. And their trading prior to the U.S. Open really gives me a lot of indication of what's going on in the world, especially if they've been leading. Again, you got to go through these whole steps. Were Asian and European markets leading, lagging, or following U.S. markets is really key to note also, and whether those are diverging, converging, or breaking away from typical patterns that we've been seeing in current markets. So the overseas markets definitely give us a good idea about what our risk appetite or risk aversion should be of the global investors also. And this is also an important step to realize. It also reveals how the markets, and we talked about this earlier, whether they're correlated, the stocks to the currencies, commodities, and interest rates, are trading prior to our market in the United States opening. A good deal of my morning preparation is spent gathering information about the most recent market context. To frame a promising trade idea, much more data is and are needed. The next podcast that I'm going to do is going to take a look at what that data is. Thanks for watching. I am Matt Davio with the 1 Minute Trader podcast, and you can find us both on YouTube and on our podcast at Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever it is that you get and Spotify, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Please take a listen. Like us, tell your friends about us, and thank you again, as always, for listening. Appreciate your time.